In this video, I will show you exactly what I did to double my income in 1 year. Guys, I'm creating a series of videos of what I did every year to get to where I am today. I will go through my ups, downs, and my thought process behind some of the decisions I made in my career. I started my real estate business at 22 years old, and I'm now 31 years old. So I do have 9 to 10 years of experience in this business. So be expecting at least 9 videos talking about my journey. Okay guys, to go from 100K to almost 200K for me didn't take anything special. I didn't make a career change. I did make a new investment, but I wouldn't recommend that, and I will talk later about that later on in this video. What I did was practical, and it didn't take anything special to make that jump. Also guys, making these significant jumps in the beginning to me is easier when the numbers are smaller. Having a year-over-year 100% growth is probably not likely when the numbers are larger, but it do happens. And for me, going from 100K to almost 200K at 23, 24 years old was a very exciting time in my life. And I'm happy to share with you guys what I did. If you watched my last video on how I made 100K at 23 years old, in that video I explained how I worked the overnight job and started my real estate wholesaling business. I also talked about having a competitive advantage to hit the ground running in my real estate wholesaling business. Getting to 100K was actually easy for me. Anyone can get to 100K just by working hard and specializing in a trade. But getting to 200K, I needed to develop new skills. So the first thing I did was to go full-time in my real estate wholesaling business. Guys, oftentimes when thinking about doubling your income, we think of increasing our income through an external opportunity or external investment, which I did do. I invested in a trucking company, a trucking business, and my brother and I, we bought an 18-wheeler, which was not the right time. Probably a good investment, but not the right time. It was only year 2 for me in my business, and I needed to learn more about business. I was 24 years old. I graduated college at 22. I didn't know anything about business. At that time, my primary focus needed to be in my business and in my business that I'm currently doing. I believe the very first thing you should do to increase your income is to assess what you are currently doing to generate income. And ask yourself, is it possible to increase my income in my current job or business? When you start asking yourself these questions, your mind will start to generate ideas and answers will arise. Because it could be as simple as learning a new skill to perform your job better, and bam, you made an extra 100K. For me, it wasn't increasing my income through my current job. It was devoting more time to my business. I assessed my job and my business and looked at the income potential of both. And what I realized that my business had the best chance to grow. And in my job, my income was capped. So the 30 hours I was devoting to my job, I put all that time into my business and my income almost increased instantly. Now guys, if I'm adding value here, please do us a favor and like, subscribe to the channel. It definitely would help our channel grow. I wouldn't be able to account for what I gained with having an extra 30 hours every 2 weeks to devote to my business. Having that extra time, I focused on learning more about my business, developing new skills, attending seminars, and networking events. All those things I was able to do more had a big payoff. One of the specific things I did to increase my revenue was to add a new marketing channel to increase leads. If you watched my last video, I explained how I generated 100K by having a competitive advantage. But now I had the time to devote to my business full time. I was comfortable enough to increase my advertising budget. Let's take a deep dive into my wholesaling business back in 2016. Here in my 2016 scorecard, every business should have a scorecard. It tracks your KPIs. KPIs stand for key performance indicators. To this day, my partner and I utilize scorecards in Vertical Capital, our private money lending business. I have a scorecard for every year since 2016. Let's look at what I was tracking back then, the new marketing channel I added to my business to double my income. So guys, here is my 2016 scorecard. As you can see, my scorecard ranged from April 2016 to December of 2016. So I started tracking numbers and putting numbers into this scorecard weekly, second quarter of 2016. This is back when I was in a program with a guy by the name of Sean Terry, Flip to Freedom, and he always mentioned tracking your numbers, because if you don't know your numbers, you don't have a business. You're just moving through your business blind. And also, this was a time where I read the book Traction by Gino Wickman. And we still implement everything that book recommends in our business today with Vertical Capital. So guys, this is our 2016 scorecard, and I'll go through a few numbers, and I'll also show you the advertising we did to reach the numbers we was able to reach. So as you can see, we track it weekly, our weekly numbers. And some of the right here, you'll see that my name is in every position. Elridge as COO, Elridge as Disposition Transaction Coordinator, Elridge in Marketing, Elridge as Lead Manager. I was in the sales position, JV deal, CFO. So I was in every position in the company, and I had to track each of these numbers weekly. So this is very, very important. And right here, I want you to look at where we have the CFO number. So back when in my first video, I mentioned the one where I made my first 100K, I only did bandit signs, and bandit signs was my competitive advantage, because the major companies and the bigger companies that was wholesaling properties wasn't doing bandit signs. So I was out there every week for 2 years straight putting out bandit signs. I put out 25 to 50 signs every single week. I didn't miss a week. And that brought some consistency in lead flow. And if you drive leads, you will have a successful business, successful wholesaling business. So in year 2, I decided to start doing some direct mail marketing and some Google AdWords. And in return, it increased my revenue a little bit. So this is the year-to-date revenue. This is not net. This is gross, right? As you can see, I also had big goals too, and I didn't hit my goals at all. All right, so this is quarter 2 of 2016. And then quarter 2 of 2016, some of the total numbers I had 6 closings in quarter 2 of 2016. I drove 29 Google AdWords leads. I had 74 bandit sign leads, and I had 17 skip tracing leads. And what did this cost me? This cost me $1,500 for bandit signs. Right here is 0 because I paid for my direct mail to go out in the first quarter. And my Google AdWords was 5,464. And my year-to-date revenue at this point was $95,000. All right, so let's click on quarter 3 of that year. We're gonna go over to the totals. So as you can see, I spent a total of $11,790.99 this quarter, and my year-to-date revenue was $155,293. And let's go to the end of the year, and let's see what some of my totals were. So at this point, I spent $18,935 on direct mail and $2,584 on Google AdWords. And my year-to-date revenue was $220,158. So I probably spent that year roughly around a little over $40,000, but I brought in $220,000. So I probably netted around 170, 180. Not quite 200, but it was close. For a 24-year-old, this was pretty good. Sometimes we get in our own way when making the decisions to go full-time in business. And I totally understand why that fear creeps in. It's the job security. It's the consistent paycheck. The overall peace of mind a job brings. And to be honest, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, because it takes a lot of sacrifice. And you have to have a certain threshold for uncertainty. Because as an entrepreneur, you're not going to know when your next paycheck is coming. Just that alone is terrifying. But not knowing when your money is coming in and your bills are due now is scary. But all in all, entrepreneurship do have the most upside and the most potential to grow. My message is not to quit your job and go full time. I'm simply here to show you how I did it, and everyone's path is different. Now, if you're anything like me and fall into the category of your business having a higher income potential than your current job, we are in the same boat. So use my story as proof. Just by dedicating more hours to your business, it will pay off and sometimes pay double.